Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your boy John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast, where the fans of the pros go back at you with my boys Vlad and Barry. What's good, guys?
Hey, what's going on? What's up?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good to be here as always, and excited and looking forward to another episode. We're on episode 49, baby. One more to 50. We're almost at the big 5-0.
Episode 49. Yo, it's kind of crazy. Like, we're almost at 51.
Half a century mark.
Next month on the 24th will make us a year, since the first podcast dropped. You know what I'm saying? It's been crazy. But episode 49, so that's Chris Sales.
When he was on the White Sox.
On the White Sox?
His current number is 41.
I'm gonna go White Sox Chris Sale.
Cool. That's good. We got Tim Wakefield.
Yes.
Let's talk that knuckleballer. And we got Joe Cardona. Joe Cardono,
from the Patriots, long snapper. Yep.
And also Navy SEAL guy. So shout out to him.
Salute.
Right. Shoot, and can't think of any other 49s that have played. This is
I got one more.
Who?
I got Tremont Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds.
Good one.
That's
it.
From the Bills.
From the Bills.
Yes.
From the Bills. Yeah.
Tremaine
nice.
Edmonds. I'm
surprised I didn't think of him.
I was trying to think of the name, like Tremont, like Tremaine. That's
Tremaine.
It.
Right. Yeah. No. So definitely shout out to him. He had a really good year and did his thing for sure for the Bills. So and he's a really good player. I like him too. So yeah, I think 49's a weird number. There's not too much 49s other than those guys.
I looked some up, and there's a lot of older guys. I'm like guys that I don't really know, probably like retired guys, and the more recent ones are like nobody notable. So I'm like,
Right, exactly. Knowing that anybody would know, or and any of us would know. So
right,
yeah, that's a weird number, but at least we're able to come up with a few.
We got a few names. Right, but on to episode 49, and as always, please follow us on social media. We're on Instagram. We're actually really popping on Instagram, so follow us, profans_sports. We're doing numbers, man, so get on there,
Instagram,
you know what I mean, before everybody else, you know what I mean?
Right.
We're on Facebook as well, facebook.com/profansports. We're on twitter.com/profansports. We got numbers on there, too. And we're on youtube.com/profansports. If you're watching this video already, you're there. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share, comment, hate, like, whatever. We're here for it all. Don't forget that our episodes drop every Tuesday, 8 a.m. on Tuesday mornings, and our videos drop every Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. And before we start, we got to say happy belated birthday to a GOAT, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is he the GOAT, a GOAT? What do we say now? Because Brady just won 7. Is he the GOAT, a GOAT, one GOAT?
One of the GOATs. I guess you could say that. One of the GOATs. He's certainly, one of the GOAT of GOATs. I don't know if he is the GOAT, but at least in basketball he is. But
let's not get into that.
Right. I know we've had that conversation before on this podcast, so I'm sure we don't want to go there since we have a lot to get to today. But he's definitely among the GOAT of GOATs, without question. He's on the Mount Rushmore of GOATs.
Absolutely.
He's the GOAT of basketball.
100%.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Vlad. But
y'all together.
John has a different, opinion on that. So we'll let that.
We can't all
be
be the same, guys. We can't all be the same.
Right.
But yeah, man, February 17th, that was his birthday. What is he, 49, 50 now?
58.
Something like that?
58. So yeah, almost 60. He's 58. Right.
What was I thinking? I'm like, that dude's old, man. 58.
Hey,
And,
he's an OG, man. OG.
Yeah, but he don't look no 58. Like,
he looks good for his age. He looks good for 58.
Still could look like our brother or something,
No, for real. Hopefully we look that good when we're 58. And hopefully we're still doing this podcast at that point. Who knows?
Nah, I don't want to be doing that podcast. I want to be...
You want to be retired, huh?
Yeah, on an island somewhere with my feet up. You know what I'm saying? Like, more No.
Yeah, he's like, nah, I'm not going to be podcasting. My podcasting days will be long.
Career is over.
Right.
It did what it was supposed to do, what we started it for, and, we just put ourselves in a position to do bigger, better things.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully we are in that position where we could, retire, earlier, not in that age, because, some people aren't able to retire at that point and still have to work. So,
I mean, knowing us, in our backgrounds, we'd probably still be working anyway, because I feel like we're not people that just like sit around doing nothing. So, I'm not anyway. Is that you, Vlad?
Either.
Well, I don't know if I'll be working, but hopefully I just have my money's making money for me.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's it. We got the money
absolutely.
working.
That's the goal. Yes. Make your money work for you.
That's it, man. Don't forget to invest in these stocks. I don't know about it. Go learn for yourself.
You do stocks, John? I haven't.
No. I just said I don't know about it. Go learn for yourself. No, I do a little bit. I dabble. But let's get into the show here. We're gonna do the NFL, the NBA, MLB, NHL. We're gonna give you updates on everything. Let's start with the NFL though, where there's a couple things going on. A first rounder, another first rounder got traded this offseason. First we saw Jared Goff go into the Detroit for Matthew Stafford. And now we got Carson Wentz, who was traded to the Colts for a 2021 third-round pick and a 2022 second-round pick. They both could turn into first-round picks if Wentz plays 75% of the snaps. How y'all feeling about that trade? Who wins in this situation?
I think that's a great trade. I think both sides. It's a great trade. It's not outrageous like the Matthew Stafford trade. I think that the Colts are gonna get a player that can play if he can stay healthy. And I think Philly is also getting basically 2 first round. I think if Carson Wentz stays healthy and he plays 75% of the snaps, both of those picks are going to turn into first rounders. So I think that'll be good for Philly. And then if Carson Wentz stays healthy, I think he'll be a good, steady quarterback going forward for the Colts. So I think both sides definitely win in that deal.
I'm gonna go a little different here. I think certainly, as of now, the Colts I think have the upper hand and won this deal. I think the Eagles are, as of right now, they're on the losing end of the deal, but that could change, and it all comes down to how Jalen Hurts plays and how he develops, and if he can become a franchise quarterback in the NFL. But certainly I think that they're certainly on the losing end because there's a lot of dead money that's going to be on their salary cap, the most in NFL history. 33.8. And when you have that kind of, that kind of dead money on your cap room, you can't really, you're not really going to be able to do much, with the roster and in terms of being able to improve it, at least for the short term, until until that goes away, and that takes a little while. So I think pretty much Billy knew that they couldn't bring Carson Wentz and that their relationship with him, the Eagles organization and him, was too far gone where they, had to, make a move and they had to, trade him somewhere. And really, Indy was pretty much the only team that was willing to take him, which is good for him that he's able to go over there, with his former quarterbacks coach or coordinator, but nonetheless, they were together in Philly for some time, so they certainly have a good relationship and, and feel comfortable and confident in each other. So I think that's certainly, going to be that's a good start already. And he's going to a good team. The Colts were a playoff team last year, and, they have, good, running game and one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They're tremendous offensive line. They probably need to get him some weapons. I know T.Y.'s a free agent, but they'll probably bring him back, but they still need to get like another receiver or two. But certain they have a really good defense. So I think, if he's able to stay healthy, he's in a really good situation. And I think, he can be a solid quarterback in this league. I don't know if he's going to go back to being an MVP caliber quarterback that he was before he got injured, but I still think he can do well, and he's in a, better situation now with the Colts than he was in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't think they had any. It's a no-brainer. He had to go, right? It's just the way things have turned out, starting with Nick Folk, coming in and taking the team to a Super Bowl. Everything that was coming out about the teammates, not following him as the leader, the injury issues, him being benched for Jalen Hurts and stuff like that. It just wasn't going to go back to a situation where he was going to be comfortable enough to feel like 100% that the job was his and he can, do with it as he pleases, because, I mean, he's always had guys there, and it's like he's one of those guys that actually is affected by like who the backup is. You see in a lot of other teams, like the starter usually knows like that's his job and that's it. They work hard for it, but him, it's like it's in his head a little more than the other guys. At least that's what's been reported. But I do think it's a win for both sides, because he goes to Frank Wright, who knows how to use him, and maybe, he gets back to his comfort level. And like you mentioned, the offensive line, one of the best in the league, and the Eagles hasn't been one of the best in the league for a long time. So that's going to help him out a lot because he's been a quarterback that's been hit a lot. Some of it is through his own fault, but a lot of it has to do with the line. And, going into a team like that with a good offensive line, some good offensive weapons, really good defense, they have it together over there. It seems like it's a functioning situation. And I think he's going to thrive in it if he stays healthy and if he's not trying to win every single game with one throw. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't win games like that in the league. So as far as the picks goes, if he ends up being the guy that he was when he came in the league and almost was MVP that year, who cares what if we traded him for? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you need a quarterback in this league to win. And if he can bring them, the wins, the picks don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, if you think about, like, the Chiefs, they traded up to go get Patrick Mahomes, and they traded, like, 2 first-round picks or something like that. And, a lot of people were like, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. But nobody remembers those picks now. Right, because he's been MVP. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you feel like he's the guy, then the picks really don't matter. Yeah. It really doesn't. Like, you have to do what you have to do to get that guy, and that's just what it is. So, we'll see what happens. I don't know about playing the 75% of the game stuff because he's really never done that. So that's going to be huge if he actually does.
I think it's possible. I think he has a good chance of doing that for sure.
I mean, I hope so for his sake. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, absolutely.
The only time
he did it. He did it that one year where they went like 13-0 or whatever it was, or 13-3.
What, like 11-2?
No,
before he got
11-2
hurt?
before he got
11-2.
hurt.
So
Yeah,
Yep.
that's 75%
that's
of the wins
75%
right there.
for
Maybe
sure.
that's why they said that 75, that number specifically. So now I can see why. That makes sense.
So I think he has a possibility of doing that. And I think as far as the dead cap goes, I think they have Jalen Hurts on a rookie deal. So I think that's going to help them as well for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think that if those two picks turn into first round, those are draft capitals that they can use instead of using, or they could use that as trade baits as well for other players. So I think as far as the dead cap goes, I think the rookie deal and those first round picks are gonna balance that out. So
right. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, reports just came out that he might not be, like who they want to be as QB number one. So like they may, make a move in free agency or through the draft to get another quarterback.
That's crazy.
Right. Well, I'm not surprised about that because I was hearing reports too with people saying that they're still going to bring in competition for him to be able to compete for the starting quarterback job for next season. So, I'm not too surprised about that, and I think that's really what they should do during training camp next season is bring in one or two guys, maybe like a veteran, and then draft a guy when this coming draft, since it's a pretty good quarterback draft. So yeah, and then bring and have the best person
as an organization
win.
Right, as an organization, right, it's a lot of them, they pump out like information out in the media like purposefully, what I'm saying, to like start a narrative, put something out there in somebody's ear, to get some stuff trending for them. You know what I'm saying? We see teams use it for like leverage and trades. They report that they're talking to certain people and then they've never done that, just to get like another team to do it. Is this something smart to do, to have that in the media, about Jalen Hurts?
I mean, yeah, certainly I think, you can make a case for either one, but I'd probably lean towards, yes, it is more smart for them to do that, just to kind of, motivate, the current guy that they have and make sure that he's, ready to go and he's ready to play, once training camp comes next season, to just let them know that the job is not completely his. Like, yeah, we may have traded someone that was at your position, but just because we made that move, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're in the driver's seat and that the job is yours. I mean, it could be yours. It should be if you work, hard enough, but you got to go out and earn it. And we're not just going to, give it to you. And, just because you're, currently the only guy here, we're going to make you actually work for it. So I think that it's certainly smart for teams to do that when they're in that situation. But then again, it kind of goes to show that maybe they don't have as much confidence in him as we thought. So, it'll be an interesting situation with the quarterback in Philly. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think he should obviously always have some sort of competition, but let's be honest here. He's your first round pick from last year. He started the game over multiple games over your former first round pick. He should be your starter. Like, you've given up on another player, he should be your starter. I think if you're creating narratives that are not true, that I think that can mess with his psyche and just, I don't know, derail what's going on down in Philly. I think for them to say, or they might draft another QB, I'm like, how many draft capitals you're gonna throw at QB when Jalen Hurts played, and he played fairly well last year. So I think he should be your starting quarterback. I mean, you bring in backups to back him up, but he should be your starting quarterback.
I mean, you you selected him in the second round.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm?
you don't select quarterbacks, in the top 2 rounds if you don't plan to, like at least have him as your starter at some point. I understand, bringing in people for competition, things like that. You should always do that. I'm a big believer in that. But it's the stuff in the media because, like, I feel like these guys do pay attention to what's going on, and you don't want to create doubt in a situation that you're trying to build. I mean, that's how I'm looking at it, but I know in a competitive standpoint, like, it don't matter what's in the media. Like, you got to come in here and perform to your best of your abilities, regardless. You got to come in here with the dog mentality to win the job, no matter what is said in the media and things like that. But we know that some players, they're not built like that, Hopefully he's not paying attention to anything like that because I actually like Jalen Hurts a lot. And I hope he does, beat out whoever it is. And I think he could be a really good dual threat quarterback in the league. So we'll see what happens with him. Some more NFL news, actually a tragic news, actually. Vincent Jackson, former Tampa Bay Bucks, a receiver, big-bodied guy. He was found dead in a hotel room. He had severe alcoholism and suffered from concussion effect. And due to that, actually, his family has elected to donate his brain for research, for CTE research. Did you guys hear about that? Do you remember Vincent Jackson at all?
Yeah, he played for San Diego and Tampa Bay. Yeah, it's really sad what happened. Prayers to him and his family.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember Vincent Jackson, very well, for sure. He's a pretty good receiver in the league in his time that he played, in particular with the San Diego Chargers. And I think, yeah, it's devastating and tragic what had happened to him in the last week. And yeah, it's crazy that he died just at 38. I know when they say that life is too short, people think that's just a cliche, and and they're just saying that to say that. But no, that's facts. That's reality. This life that we're living, it's very short and it goes by quick. So you definitely have to make the best of your time here because you never know what tomorrow will bring, and tomorrow's not promised or guaranteed for anybody. So definitely condolences and prayers go out to his family for their tough loss, and yeah, and definitely God bless him. I know it's a terrible tragedy that that happened.
Yeah. I mean, at least they get to research what's going on and see, what's happening, and that should, prompt the NFL to do the right thing for the guys that retire. Make sure that we're monitoring, make sure that they're getting the help that they need, so that things like that are not happening. But like you said, rest in peace to Vincent Jackson. Another Jackson, another NFL news will be released, and I'm talking about Deshaun Jackson from the Philadelphia Eagles. So, it looks like they're purging players right now. Because, Zach Ertz has been rumored, it could be his last year in the Eagles. So, they're purging players, and it's going to be a new look Eagle team. J.J. Watt just released from the Texans, mutually parted ways. There's rumors that he is interested in, talking to the Patriots and possibly joining the Patriots. If you guys heard about that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we talked about it last week. I think it would be we need all the help we need, especially on the defensive line. I don't think he's gonna come here. I really don't think so. I think he's gonna go to somebody that's competitive, that's ready to win a Super Bowl. I think the rumors that I'm most likely think that's going to happen is the Browns, just because I think the Browns are an up-and-coming team. They're in the playoffs. They have a lot of talent, and the addition of somebody like J.J. Watt can possibly put them on a more successful route. Like I said, I think if he comes to the Patriots, obviously, I think that's going to work well for the Patriots, and Bill Belichick can use him in good situations. But I just doubt that's happening. I don't think he's coming from a Patriots system back in the Texans to a new one now. I just don't think that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think certainly, that would be crazy if he does go to the Browns. Because imagine him and Myles Garrett on the same defensive line. That would be pretty scary and pretty tough for any offensive line to be able to go against. But yeah, I don't think J.J. Watt is coming here. I doubt that at this point of his career he wants to go to a team that that's rebuilding and that's not a playoff contender yet to this point at least or as of right now. So I think he's at a point of his career where he wants to go to somewhere where he can win and get a Super Bowl, since he hasn't gotten a Super Bowl yet. In his time in the Texans. They haven't, really been too successful in the playoffs. So I think he wants to go somewhere where he can be more successful, in the playoffs and go on a deep run. I don't see him really, having any sort of interest in coming here. So if, the rumors that he may be interested in coming here, I don't really believe it. I don't really think much about it because I just don't see him being here.
Like we said, the teams put out rumors on their own, just to get things churning around. So we don't know, like if I'm him, like you guys said, I'm not interested in coming here at all. If I'm him, I signed with the Packers like 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? Like Wisconsin is like a no-brainer, right? That's his home. Packers are good. They won what, 14?
There? Yeah, right.
What, they won like 14 games this year or 13 games or however many they won.
They were like 13-3.
That's your competitor right there. Get in that team. You could be an impact on defense, over there. So
they do need more impactful players on defense. So that's particularly on the defensive line. They're definitely
more
lacking,
disruptive.
For sure. They're definitely lacking on that part of their defense. So no, he would definitely be a good fit there and be good for them to have. So I mean, he could go there. I'm sure there's a few other teams that he could go to as well, where he could be able to have a good role and and be able to help that team get over the hump.
There's several other teams, but somebody that sought out is J.J. Watt's former teammate in Deshaun Jackson. A lot of people are interested in him, obviously. Deshaun Watson. We do this every single week. Every single week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know why we can't get it right. But Deshaun Watson, the Carolina Panthers are clearing up space, to make a big run at him. And when free agency actually opens up next month. So that should be big. There's other guys that's out there too, like Marcus Mariota, that could be traded somewhere. Derek Carr, there's rumors that the Carolina Panthers could trade up in the draft to pick one of the, young QBs and stuff like that. But onto some Patriots news, right? There's a lot of rumors, with the Patriots going around about the quarterback situation. We're in a place we haven't been in a really long time. So how do you guys feel about the possibility of Cam Newton, being back to the Patriots? Because a lot of people are predicting that he will be back with the Patriots.
Man, that sounds really bad. It doesn't sound exciting at all. I think we all were expecting Bill Belichick to have a plan at quarterback once somebody leave, a plan that would help us stay in competition, not necessarily go to the Super Bowl, but a plan that would at least keep us in the playoff. And last year we saw what that plan gave. He gave nothing. He gave a 7-9 performance. I'm not looking forward for Cam Newton to be the quarterback of the Patriots. Listen, I like Cam. I wish the best for him, but I just don't think his time at the Patriots with it at all. And nah, I'm not looking forward to that, man. Man, if he comes back, that just tells you how bad of planning Bill Belichick did post Brady continuation of the dynasty.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's no way this guy can come back here. I don't want to see it, and I think it'd be horrific if he does come back, and I think it'd be a god-awful look for Bill Belichick, the GM, if he does bring him back, and I think it'd be insulting to that locker room, to those guys that played with him last year that'll be back this year, and for him to bring him back, I think that's a horrible message that he's sending to the rest of the locker room and the rest of the team. So we gave him a chance. He had his opportunity here to be the starter and to be successful, and he just wasn't. It just didn't work out. I was with OK, at the time with them giving him a chance, for 1 year, and seeing what he has left and seeing what we can do, and we saw what exactly how that turned out, and we saw what we can do, which is pretty much absolutely nothing and straight garbage. So there's it's BS that there's even rumors out there that he could be coming back next year, because I just don't see how you could do that and still have a with better season and a more winning season and get back to the playoffs with him here. I just don't really want to see it. I think this team needs to go in a different direction and go with someone else that can do the job better at quarterback, because we clearly know that Cam Newton's just not that guy, and you just can't to do what you did last year and have that happen again. This franchise and organization can't afford that, and Bill Belichick can't put this team in a position to have a repeat of last year, because it was already bad 1 year enough, let alone 2 would be would be disastrous. So there's no way this guy can be back here next year.
We'll see what happens. I definitely agree with you guys. There's no way like Cam Newton should be quarterback in this situation right here. In order for that to happen, I feel like a few things would have to happen. Like you need to sign some really good weapons, one, and you have to draft a young QB. You have to maneuver and draft a young QB. If you're gonna have him come here and be the starter for 5-6 weeks, and then throw the kid in there, I can see something. But like if you just have him coming back to be the starter for the team throughout the season, I don't know what we're doing. You know Exactly. What I'm saying? Like we just can't do that. I think this year is a perfect opportunity for us to do certain things to actually get up in the draft and pick, one of the QBs that they got up there. But even then, like that's not even a guaranteed thing, right? Like that's really not a guaranteed thing, because
nothing's guaranteed with Bill Belichick.
Look what just happened this one offseason alone. 2 first-round QBs got traded to other teams. So like we know that's like not a guarantee, but at least as the fan base, that would make us feel better. If we had a Trey Lance or something like that, Justin Field or something, to come in and energize the fan base and give us something to look forward to. But like if you're just gonna bring Cam Newton, to experiment again because you feel like, he didn't have like weapons and stuff like that. It's like, come on, man. The guy couldn't make
because of COVID,
right. The guy really didn't make anybody better at all. You know what I'm saying? Like he made no one better at all. And I don't know how he's gonna turn that around. You know, you can lose as much weight as you want, but like if you can't throw the ball, you can't throw the ball.
Right, John. The mechanics are so bad, guys.
Yeah.
That my goodness, like
his feet is terrible, dude.
Yeah, the footwork, right. It is bad. The arm, right, in terms of him throwing the ball is just like so.
His mechanics, man.
It's just so horrific that. Like, how can you bring this guy back after what we just saw transpire the season?
I would be concerned.
The mechanics aren't going to improve that drastically from
in one off season.
Exactly, right. Especially since he's getting, older and stuff. Like, you really think it's going to change from, him being 31 to 32 and the mechanics are going to improve that, significantly, within a few months, it's just, you're right. Like Rodney Harrison recently said on a podcast, the guy just can't play quarterback in the National Football League. Like,
I would be concerned if you brought him in and you had somebody, that was in the wings waiting. But then I don't know how confident I am in Bill Belichick, like sitting down Cam Newton for good. You know what I'm saying? Because like it seemed like last year, like he wasn't willing to do that. And it's like, dude, Cam Newton was shitting all over the field. Like, put the kid in the game. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of the times last year, he was very stubborn to actually make that happen. So hopefully that's not the issue. But another guy I'm hearing about is Marcus Mariota. How you guys feel about that? Them trading for Marcus Mariota this offseason.
Don't like him either. But anybody's better than Cam Newton right now.
Yeah, I don't want to see Marcus Mariota here either. I mean, obviously it would be an upgrade. That's not saying much. Just about anybody would be an upgrade at that,
I might be
position.
Pro Fan Sports might be an upgrade, dude. Like, we'll take turns throwing the ball out there.
Oh, for real, have a quarterback by committee. But no, I don't want to see Marcus Mariota because I don't want to, run a similar kind of offense. He's a similar kind of quarterback, with.
But I feel like he can make some throws
and stuff. Yeah, he can throw a little, better. But I just don't think he moves the needle, and there's really that. There's not much excitement and buzz. Bringing.
I think you said it right there. Moving the needle. I don't think he moves the needle that much more than Cam Newton does. Like he does complete more passes, gets at least 3,000 yards, I feel like, but I don't know if he's winning us games, because he hasn't done that for any team. And, he's a good backup.
Titans, exactly.
He's a good backup. I'll say that for
absolutely.
Sure. But even for him to come in, I feel like you need a plan to move him out of there, by mid-season. Like, thank you, for warming the seat. Let's give it to the kid now. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Pass the torch, exactly.
But I hope, a rookie comes in here and does the Justin Herbert thing. You know what I'm saying? Just freaking take over and do what you need to do. No,
right. But do you think that there's a Justin Herbert in this draft, though?
I don't know. We didn't know there was a Justin Herbert in last year's draft. You know what I mean?
We knew that.
We knew his name. We knew his name, but we didn't think he was going to do what he did this year. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'll give you that, but we knew he was
winning Rookie of the Year. I don't think we did.
I wouldn't say winning Rookie of the Year, but we knew he was going to play well, and he had all the tools.
We talked about him on the show.
Successful quarterback, absolutely. So. Right, he did better than and exceeded expectations, than we all thought. But it shouldn't be a surprise that he played well and had a really good season because we knew that he was really talented and that the guy could play if you give him the opportunity, particularly with the Chargers who have a good, good supporting cast around him. So I think
who reminds me of Justin Herbert in this year's draft.
Who's Zach Wilson?
Trey Lance, but he can run better. You know what I mean? You guys should do a little more research on Trey Lance.
I got to start doing my homework and research on
start
your
draft.
So we can
prep.
start talking some draft for sure. But a person that I want to see, I know it'll take a lot for it to happen, is Jimmy G. I really think that's the best case scenario for the Patriots quarterback in terms
as
of
a
getting a
starter
veteran.
or as a seat warmer.
Oh no, as a starter, I think he can be a starting quarterback here and be successful if we put him in in the right position, the right circumstance, and put the right guys around him. I think he can certainly be a good quarterback as long as he can stay healthy. And I think he can start here because he's already had prior success here and in a short time. And I think that that's something that they could possibly build off of, and and that could be something that could work out well for the Patriots. It's at least worth giving a chance. I'm at least willing to give it a shot and see how that goes.
San
But I know it's a
Francisco would
lot
have
for
to want
would
to
have to
get
bring
rid of
someone
him
else
anyway.
in. Exactly. Right. So
I'm
I
not
know
very
it's a
excited
lot for
by
that to
Jimmy
happen.
G. I know he's familiar
Really?
and that's the name, but I'm not really excited about him just because of the injury history, man. You know what I mean? Like that bothers me. Like that you've played one full season your whole career. It's, I don't know. But again, anybody would be better than what we had last year. So
it's three quarterbacks that I'm thinking about.
mm-hmm.
It's I'm definitely thinking about Jimmy G because of
familiarity.
Not just familiarity. He's actually a good quarterback if he wasn't getting injured as often as he did.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Belichick drafted him, and Bill Belichick would have a good rapport with him. But I also like the guy from in Carolina right now. I forgot his name.
Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah. I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot.
They're saying Carolina could move up to pick a quarterback in the draft because what's his name? Mac Jones. Matt Rule used to coach him. Well, coach him at the Senior Bowl or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Teddy Bridgewater would be somebody that I would be definitely excited about to see.
Mm-hmm.
I just think last year was his first year starting since his injury and his first full year. So I think one good full year under his belt, I think he would be better next season. The other guy I like as well is the quarterback for the Colts. I forgot his name as well. He's
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett. I think I would like to see him back here and see what Belichick did with him. I thought when he started up, not last season, but the season before that, when he started for the Colts, I thought he had some good. He looked good out there. He didn't look like a great.
He had a good couple games,
but he looked good out there. That's somebody that I wouldn't mind seeing.
I don't know, man. I want to see us draft a quarterback, man. Like, we got to do something this year.
We definitely have to draft one without question, right?
I want to see us draft somebody, man. Get us excited about something, bro. Because right now, man, the performance we got last year, Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl. We need something, man. Give us something
some sort of buzz
to be excited about, please. Because bringing Cam Newton back, bringing in Mariota, like that don't do nothing for us. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing with Jimmy G, that at least brings some sort of excitement and buzz back because the fans base is already familiar with him and knows that this guy's not a scrub and that he can play when he's healthy. So at least if they were able to bring him back, we'd at least get some sort of excitement and buzz and something to look forward to, and feel better about the team than we do right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. One guy that, it comes up a lot when it comes to, trades, what we're going to do in the draft. Going back to last year at the trade deadline, there's a lot of rumors about the Patriots wanting to, looking around to see what they could get for him in a trade. And I'm talking about Stephon Gilmore. Should we trade Stephon? Like, how you guys feel about that? That's going around.
Yeah, I definitely think we should trade Gilmore. I think he's gonna ask for a lot of money coming up. He felt as though he was underpaid last year. He basically sat through to the off season, basically to get a little bit of bump to his salary. I think he's gonna cost us too much money, and I think right now, if we sell, I think that's the highest we might sell him for. I don't think he had a great year last year, especially with the injury and COVID and stuff like that. So I think trading him will be best right now, so we can get something back for him.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we should trade him. I get that he had a tough year, last year. Not only dealing with COVID, but he was banged up, so he didn't perform as well as the previous year. But I think that he's still the best cornerback on the team, and still the guy that I feel confident that he could actually be able to cover another team's number one receiver. And not only that, but going against elite receivers in the league that will be playing next year. He's really the only guy that I can trust that he'll be able to do his job and at least slow them down and not have that receiver go off. Because I still think the other guys, like, yeah, they do have some depth there and some young guys that are coming up, but I just don't think they're there yet. Even at J.C. Jackson, I don't, he's been playing really well the first couple years and stuff, and he's getting there, but he's not, a top corner that can cover a number one receiver, an elite receiver, every week. So I still think that, that they should, keep Gilmore here. He's still the, best defensive back on the roster, and and then continue to let those younger guys, develop and improve and get better for next year. I think in a year or two, those guys will be good enough to be able to cover top receivers, but not right at this moment, not this year at least. So I think the Pats shouldn't trade Gilmore.
I mean, I'm on the fence on this one. In one sense, I say trade him just because of his contract, the way he performed last year, and the fact that I'm hearing he wants more money for his contract. It's like, we can't really do that right now, because at one point you were the highest paid corner in the league, and we know every year there's going to be somebody new that's going to be paid higher. You know what I'm saying? We can't go back and restructure your shit every time somebody gets a bump in pay. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you guys are here to pave the way in a sort of sense, right? Like what Tom Brady gets today, Patrick Mahomes is going to be richer tomorrow for it. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So in that sense, and I don't think he played great last year. He didn't play really great last year. And just because we do have the need at quarterback, I feel like he should be part of those trade chips that we trade to go up and get a quarterback if we need to. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you need to secure that quarterback, like I said earlier, and nothing's more important than that, right? But in the other sense, like Barry was saying, we're gonna go back to Malcolm Butler days if we do that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not trying to see that. I don't want to see that next year. Right.
We're going to see, guys catching passes all over guys, in the backfield,
Absolutely.
And our safeties are getting older too. McCourty's not getting any faster. I know we have Duggar that's out there, but he's more like a hybrid linebacker than anything.
Yeah, he's
what I'm saying?
Coverage guy, exactly.
He can cover, but the way we've used him, it's not the way you know what I mean? That means you'd have to work on your offense and defense in the draft or via trade. So, if they do it, I know the Patriots will have, a backup plan at quarterback at least, because, Bill Belichick takes the defense pretty seriously, and he usually tends to build the defense. The team starting from defense. So,
right, and he hits on a good amount of those.
He hits on a lot of defensive players. So, I have confidence that he can get some people in the building if he was to trade. Like I said, only way I would want to see Gilmore traded is if we go up and get a quarterback, or he's in a package for Deshaun Watson or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Then by all means, ship him out of here. You know what I mean? Other than that, like, what are we doing that for? Because like, there's nothing we're gonna get back that's gonna be equal to the former NFL defensive MVP of the league. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So that's where I'm at with that. But I do think Gilmore gets traded this offseason, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they'll take a lot for that type, unless, like you said, John, it's the right deal and at the right price. And so that's the only way I see it. But yeah, I think he stays at least another year. And yeah, I don't think they could trade him quite yet, but it's possible, though.
Speaking of another year, like, we have a player that's gonna be on our roster for another year, most likely, and he might enter this offseason as the number one receiver. Well, he will enter this offseason as the number one target in the offense, and I'm talking about Julian Edelman. Right, come September, if we don't draft or if we don't trade for somebody in free agency, Julian Edelman will go back as our number one receiver. How y'all feeling about that? Like, can he be our number one?
He shouldn't.
Should he be not? Right.
He shouldn't. I think Edelman is getting up there in age. And I think in the last couple of years he's had a lot of drops. His hands are not as secure as they used to be. He does get dinged up. He spent the whole season last year dinged up. I think, but who's going to be our number one is we don't really have any great receivers like that, and we don't draft receivers well. So we definitely might have to trade for somebody or pick somebody in the offseason, or free agent or something.
Yeah, Jules is, as much as I love Jules, yeah, he's not or can be a number one receiver for.
Is he even a number two right now?
The top question on this team, yes, but realistically, I think he's a number three. Realistically, but on this team, he'd probably be a number two receiver, but definitely can be a number one receiver, but for sure. I think, like Vlad said, he's on, the decline, and he certainly has had his days where he, was able to do that and take on that load. But I think at this point of his career, we can't expect that, from him. He has to be on, a secondary role and sort of a complementary role as opposed to being the primary option in the passing game. So I'd be okay if he's a number two or number three. Like I said, he should be a number three, but he'll probably be a number two. But they have to upgrade at that position and get somebody who could legit be a number one receiver, and that's going to be ready for that. To be our top option in the passing game right away. Because, like you said, we don't have that right now. Like, yeah, they have Jacoby Myers, who's a nice player, but he's not a number one.
Is he even a number two?
Exactly. Not even a number two either. So it's like we have a bunch of guys that are, like, at best number three receivers, John. Like, these guys
just slightly above number three, like
exactly right. Even that number four, if we have a really good receiving core, but in this case it'd be number three. On this roster at least. So yeah, they got to bring in at least one or two guys that much younger and that can actually be able to take on that load of being a top option at receiver, because clearly Edelman can't do that at this point. But I wouldn't mind seeing him on the team for another year. But at the same time, I know there's a possibility that they could trade him and look to get some, even though I don't think you'll get much from him in the trade market. So you're better off just keeping him for another year. But yeah, they got to get some better receivers in here for next year.
I feel like Julian Edelman is a Patriots lifer. I mean, if anybody's gonna do it, it
Right.
should be.
He is loyal to
It
the
should be him.
franchise.
You know, I think, you know, it's been good for his brand. It's been good. I mean, the guy was a 6th-round pick or whatever.
Seventh.
Round, actually.
Like, come on, you know, he wasn't supposed to be anything, and he's made a whole name here. JE11.
Yeah.
You know, he does his thing here. You know, and I think, you know, the fan base loves him.
Right.
But with that
favorite.
said, I think Bill would be doing us a disservice if Julian Edelman was the number 1 receiver. You know what I mean? I think he'd be doing Julian Edelman a disservice to have him come on as the number 1 receiver, because, like, the guy's banged up, man. You know what I mean? Like, he cannot take number 1 receiver type of hits in this league anymore, right? Number 1 role where he's going out for 10, 12 balls a game and getting hit, you know, every single time, like, and holding his freaking stomach every time he gets up off the ground. It's like, you know, we've seen that enough. You know, the guy, I think he's paid his dues enough to, like, deserve a role that doesn't require him to do all that, right? So we definitely need to bring somebody in here. We got a lot of guys on the free agency, you know, Allen Robinson, you know, Marvin Jones, Juju Smith. There's a few guys we can go out there and have come in here, and that would be our clear number 1, even if they're not number 1s in other teams. That's how bad our receiving corps is, you know. I saw reports about Marquise Lee. Remember the guy we had? He came last year, and he decided he was going.
Sign him.
We did
last year, right? And we opted out because of COVID, right?
Yes, and now, you know, I've seen reports talking about, like, he could be our number 1. I'm like, no, dude,
Lord, no,
don't do that.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
don't play with us.
A number 1 caliber receiver, right?
Listen, he didn't do it in Jacksonville. If you can't do it in Jacksonville, you can't do it here.
Do it here. Facts, exactly. No,
you know what I'm saying?
He's not that good anyway. I think he's honestly overrated and stuff. Like,
is he even a number 3? Like, come on, man.
No, he's a number 3. I'll give him that. He's a number 3, but he's definitely not a number 1 or a number 2. If he's a number 1 or number 2, then your receiving core is straight garbage, straight doo-doo. Like, it's crap. So, yeah, he can't be a top 2 guy here without question.
One guy I'm hearing about is AJ Green.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't.
He's been rumored
to see him here.
To be interested in the Patriots for years, or the Patriots have been interested in him for years.
Yeah, no, I've heard the rumors before, right? But I think, right, at this point, I don't really think that be a good idea to bring him in because, right, he's so injury prone and plagued with injuries that I don't even, you know, trust him to be able to stay healthy for a full season. He may be like the most injury prone player I've seen in most recently years. Y'all were just talking about Jimmy G being, you know, injury prone. Like, this guy's like, you know, been the injury prone of injury prone.
Hey, don't forget about Deshaun Jackson. Is that guy?
Him too, exactly. Right, that's another one that's been injury prone. So yeah, I don't think that would be good for the Pats to be able to, you know, to go after him and pick him up.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but one thing I do like, I like that, you know, the Patriots are being mentioned with everybody that's out there, because literally, we need to go out and get everybody. Like, whatever's going, we need to make moves, man, you know. So it should be an exciting season.
Happy to see AJ Green here? Do you guys want that?
I don't.
He's better than anything we have, man. That's all I know.
Oh, so you'd be okay with AJ Green being here?
Completely fine, man. If you know, we need to bring bodies. You know, if he still has capabilities, and, you know, he really hasn't played in the last couple of years. If his body has healed enough where he can put up with stuff, he's still, you know, averaging like 10 yards of reception. So that's pretty good, you know, in this league. So I wouldn't have a problem with that if he came on, but he can't come on here for like major amount of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be signing AJ Green to be like our top prize receiver to come in. Like, no, that would not be good. Maybe he could be a number 2 for us, but I don't see him coming in here as like the number one that's gonna like take us anywhere because he hasn't done that anywhere.
Nah, for real, he hasn't. I'm with that and stuff. And I actually just came up with the nickname for AJ Green. I call him AJ IR Green because he's always on IR.
Yeah, this dude, man.
AJ IR Green. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna refer to him as now.
AJ IR Green, man. You got the green dot on the IRs. Let's move on from the NFL though. We're gonna go into the NBA, where some exciting stuff is happening right now. The All-Star list came out, right? So we got the East and West All-Stars. And for the East, the starters, captain Kevin Durant, and then he got his teammate, his buddy Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, which I was really glad to see made it, and deservedly so. I think they made up for last year having him as a starter. Giannis, and plus he earned it. Giannis Antetokounmpo, no surprise there, and Joel Embiid, who's been on a tear. So, any opposition? Were you guys surprised somebody was not on here that you wanted to be on here as a starter? Or is there anybody on this starting list that you don't think should be there?
Well, I wouldn't mind not seeing Kyrie Irving on there.
I agree with that.
He took some time off, and I don't know. He's been okay. I mean, he's been great for Kyrie. I mean, but I think somebody else could have replaced him. Jaylen Brown could have replaced him. But yeah, I don't think Kyrie made. I think Kyrie could have been a bench player, not a starter.
No, I'm certainly with that. Which that's what I was just gonna say. That I think Kyrie shouldn't be there. Not only has he take that time off because he needed a so-called break and to take a step back, but he's also missed some games due to the injury and stuff. So he hasn't been completely healthy and playing and missed quite a few games. So I don't think he should be there. And right, he hasn't been playing at like an amazing, incredible level. Like, yeah, he's been good, but you're right. We kind of expect that from Kyrie. He hasn't been really been playing, too impressive and like, and blowing us away. So, and I think there's plenty of, well, I don't say plenty of, but I think there's other guys that could definitely be there as well. Like, Jaylen Brown should definitely deserves to be there for sure. I think like he's this year's Bradley Beal in terms of him getting snubbed, from being a starter and, and a guy that should have been there. But I'm even thinking that they should not have, started. They should just announce like the all-star team all at once, because we see too many times and on too many occasions that guys are just missing out, on being the starters. Guys that should be the starters aren't the starters. So I feel like it's down to a point where you might as well just have a whole, announce a whole team and not, the starters and then the reserves. So I think that would be better for the league to do.
It's kind of like a popularity contest, right?
Exactly.
Where it's like the most popular guy is going to get the most votes and they're going to get voted in. You know what I mean? Unless the league steps in, like a guy like Alex Caruso, who's getting more votes than some starters, out there. It's like,
crazy.
All right, cut the shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. For real. That is BS, right?
I remember there were years Yao Ming was getting way more votes than a lot of people that actually played, and he had been injured for months. It's like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So in a lot of the sense, it's a popularity contest, and sometimes you hit that wave and it just doesn't stop. Some of these guys go into the All-Star game solely because they're popular players in the league. They don't even have to do much, to get that nod, right? And I think Kyrie Irving is one of those players that's always going to get votes to go into the All-Star game no matter what he's doing. You know what I mean? I feel like he's played well since he came back. But like you guys said, he went on a hiatus. You know, it's like it's not fair to people like a Jaylen Brown. Even a person like Zach LaVine, who's been busting up everything. You know what I mean? Like, this dude's been on a tear.
Oh, yes.
You know?
He just had 38 the other night, right, against the Kings. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, there's guys that are definitely more deserving than him. You know, I don't want to make it seem like we're hating on him because we're not. But, like, you know, Jaylen Brown has had some of the highest efficiencies in the league all season. You know, mid-range, everything. You know, the guy's just been all world all season, and, you know, he doesn't make it. But, you know, I think it would be a crime if he didn't make a reserve. Then,
they really need to evaluate how they select these all-stars, right? There needs to be a reevaluation. If JB's not there, then honestly, they shouldn't even be an all-star game. Because, right, how can a guy like that play exceptionally well for the whole season? And he's been not only a really great scorer, he's been one of the best two-way players in the game. And he's only missed 2 games and really only had 1 bad game, in which he just had recently this past week against the Hawks. I think that was really the only game I can remember in which he, you know, individually played bad. And even the losses that we've had in which the team hasn't played well in, he's always been the one consistent guy. Exactly. For a team that's been fairly inconsistent, he's, you know, been as consistent of a player as anybody in the NBA this year.
For sure, man. Into the Western Conference All-Stars, we got starters Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, and Kawhi Leonard. Luka Doncic got the nod over Damian Lillard because it actually came down to fan voting, right? And Luka Doncic had, you know, I don't know, maybe like 600,000 more or something like that than Damian Lillard did to actually push him forward. But when it came to like the coaches and the players, Damian Lillard, you know, was outscoring Luka Doncic in pretty much all the categories. So now he's took the nod over Damian Lillard because of the fan voting. I know you guys have seen that, you know, and I actually, you know, did a poll on profan'ssports. Follow us if you're not. You know, you can participate in these polls. You know, how are you guys feeling about that?
Well, I mean, I think both players have been playing really well. I think Luka has been amazing since he's been in the league, and he's having a really good year this year. Same thing for Damian Lillard. I don't know. I felt as though for me it was a toss-up. I felt as though whoever ended up getting it deserved it. I don't know if I could pick one over the other, to be honest. How you guys feel?
Yeah, I think without question, Damian Lillard got robbed on this one and should have been a starter. You know, with all due respect to Luka, I like Luka a lot. I respect his game, and he's, you know, a great player, and he's had, you know, a great, you know, season to this point. But I definitely think Damian Lillard, Dame Dollar, should, without a doubt, should have been a starter this year. You know, on the Western All-Star team. But I think, you know, he's certainly been playing, you know, as well as anybody. And the impressive thing is that he's been doing this without C.J. McCollum, without his right-hand man, who's pretty much been out the whole season or most of the season due to breaking his foot earlier this year. So the fact that there's been no other consistent player on that team, you know, besides him, and then he's been playing unworldly, and you know, definitely a top candidate for MVP without question, and has been, you know, as clutch as anybody in this, you know, league this year. I think certainly It's
Game-winning shots
unfortunate.
all over.
Exactly, right. Multiple winning shots, right. It's unfortunate and it's frustrating to see a guy that's playing, that's that good of a player continue to get, overlooked and continue to get disrespected, and not get the, respect and the credit that he deserves to be getting, but by the fans. Because this guy's been doing this for a while. So it's not like he's just been doing it this year. This has been happening, for the last, several years. So it really, really, pisses me off the fact that this guy is not a starter and not among, those guys that you named as starters. Because it's just not right. Like, this isn't the only year that it's happened. This continues to happen year in and year out. And I know it didn't bother him as much because he said he's used to it. But as a fan of the game and someone who's passionate about this game, it certainly is something that annoys me and that I don't really not too happy with seeing. And I guess that's what it is. But he should be on there without question.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Barry, man. I think both players are fantastic. Like Vlad was saying, Luka, he's a problem. What it comes down to me, though, I mean, what it seems like is Damian Lillard playing in Portland is not good for him, because it's such a small market. He's not seen everywhere. You know what I'm saying? The NBA doesn't lash on him as like one of the faces of the NBA, even though like he deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like Damian, he's a dog, in every sense of the word. And every single year he reminds you of that. You know what I mean? Whether it's regular season or playoffs, like the guy is moving. He's dropped multiple 50-point games, shooting the ball at the freaking logo, at the buzzer and beating guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I think it definitely a disservice to Damian Lillard. And the other thing that Luka has going for him is the fan voting, right? Luka's from another, he's from what, the United Kingdom, overseas? He's from overseas, right? Austria or something?
He's from Spain.
From Spain? Luka's from Spain?
Yeah.
I thought he was like German or somebody. I don't know.
No. I'm sorry. He's Polish. He's Polish, but he's from he was playing for Real Madrid in Spain before he came to the US.
Okay. I'm like, I thought he was, one of those overseas countries.
You're right.
But yeah, and they're allowed to vote on the All-Stars. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere you are in the world. That's why Yao Ming, was always tops in vote getting, because all of China was voting for him. So I can imagine like people from overseas are voting for him too, and they don't know Damian Lillard. But what it really comes down to me though is the team seedings, right? Damian Lillard's team is at what, number 4 right now, and Luka Doncic's team is at number 10, not even in the playoff picture. So like how?
Jeez, I didn't think they were that low. Wow.
Right? How are we doing that right now? You know what I'm saying? I mean, last time I checked, which was yesterday, like number 4 and number 10 respectively. Like, how is Damian Lillard not, the starter? In other words, too, they always say that the players and the coaches' votes count as what, like 50% or something like that, 50 to 75%.
Yes, about that. Yeah.
About that. So, like, the players and the coaches, their picks was outweighed what Luka did. How come it doesn't override the fan voting? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like Luka's not going to go into the games, like, but I feel like the guys that are playing the game with Luka and who recognize game. And if they say, this guy is clearly has the edge over that guy, I think he should go into the game. So when I seen that, I definitely thought Damian got snubbed there, man. But
yeah, no, that's a great point for sure. I actually agree with that. I was thinking about that the other day too, that why, the league needs to change its voting system and have, the player and media votes count more than the fan votes, because like you said, these guys are on the court with them, and then also the media. These guys are covering the league and watching, these guys play every single game, so they
Right.
clearly would know better than the fans as far as who's been playing better and who deserves to be the starter. So I think they need to do something to to change that, because it's not fair to guys that this keeps happening, and guys like Dame Lillard that they keep missing out on on being a starter when they should be there.
Because he already signed the Supermax, didn't he?
Yeah,
Damian?
he got his Supermax.
Okay,
already.
so he's paid already, because I know
he got his bag already.
Right.
Yeah, I think he's making like $50 million this year and next year or something.
No wonder he don't care. Like, man, listen.
Just to correct,
listen, I already got my bread. I made my money. Yeah,
just to
I'm
correct,
good. I'm chilling.
Just to correct ourselves, he's Slovenian. He's from
Slovenian. That sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
Because that language you be speaking, I'd be like, huh?
And the accent too that he speaks with sometimes is.
But it's dope that he can speak English, because we know guys that come from overseas that never speak the language or, their entire NBA career. You know what I'm saying? So good for him. He's young enough. He's put himself in the culture. The teammates love him. The players from the league love him. So, I mean, either way, congrats to him. I don't think it's like a terrible thing that he's a starter, but just the fact that he's going against Damian Lillard, I thought Damian Lillard had the edge on that slightly. Some more NBA news that's going on. Anthony Davis is out for at least 4 weeks after suffering a calf strain and aggravating his Achilles tendon in his right leg. Hopefully he doesn't, end up like KD. You know what I mean? When he came back and ruptured his stuff. Come back way too soon.
Yeah. I know.
What I mean?
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Speaking of KD, he will miss his 4th consecutive game in a row with a strained left hamstring. So he's been out a little bit, which is not surprising because he hasn't been, playing full tilt for a year. So that stuff's going to happen because he's getting back into, his NBA groove, and that stuff is strenuous on the body, So hopefully he makes a full hopefully all those guys make a full recovery, because one thing I don't like is when teams are not at full strength, so that the other team takes advantage. It's like, I like to see teams at full strength going toe to toe. You got to earn it. You know what I mean? No asterisks on the side. So hopefully all, make it through. LeBron James, one of the GOATs, he reached 35,000 career points. He's the 3rd player to do so behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone. Guys, that's huge.
Yeah,
he's the youngest player to do it as well.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. Well,
Yeah, man.
Good for him. That's right. That's an incredible and remarkable, accomplishment and milestone to hit. No, that's really big. That's another thing that he's gonna have over MJ. As much as I hate to say, but no, that's
right. It's him, Kobe, and then MJ. No. On the points.
List?
On the points, yeah.
Okay.
Not like
I thought
in
you were
order.
talking about just among as players and.
No, we're not doing that right now. We talked about it.
Right. We've done that before already. But no. Congrats to LeBron James on reaching that milestone and being the 3rd player to do so. So. It's crazy that his scoring is not his best ability, but yet he still scores.
That's what they say. That's what they say.
But it's true, though. When you watch his game and watch him play.
How does he have 35,000 points?
Well, because, he can score. But we're not saying that he can score, but he's just as good, if not better, of a playmaker and a facilitator.
I'm just saying, I don't like that narrative, because I'm like, the guy's still the number 3 in the league history with points. How is he not scoring stuff? You know what I mean?
That's their point. Their point is he's so good at the other stuff, and he's still scoring that much. So he must be, you know what I mean? It's like he's a good passer, good playmaker, and
Everything.
also a great scorer.
You know, I know there's a lot of debate, you know, the debates with Michael and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people hate, you know what I mean? I just hope people, like, pay attention to what's actually happening because, like, LeBron's not going to play forever. You know what I mean? And it's going to come a point where he's not going to play. He's going to retire, and we're going to be like, yo, this dude was a force. So I hope people start coming around, giving him his roses, kind of like they did for Kobe because, like, we ain't never going to see nothing like Kobe again, man. You know, and we ain't never gonna see nothing like LeBron again, you know. Just like Michael, we're never gonna see nothing like Michael again, man. So, you know, I hope those people start giving him, you know, his roses when it's due, because, you know, sooner or later, the guy's 36. He's 36. You know what I mean?
That you posted on the Profan Sports IG, and that was hilarious. But
yeah,
I'm with you on that, John. You got to appreciate these guys now while they're here and their greatness, while they're still, you know, at that level and still playing well. But, you know, before, you know, it's too late to do so. So, no, that's definitely a good point.
Right, man. So in the league, again, there's some players that are being asked to sit, you know, because of trades. Teams are trying to trade them. Andre Drummond is sat by the Cavaliers, is available for trade. Blake Griffin, he's to be seeded by the Detroit Lions while they look for a trade. You know what I'm saying? And
Detroit Pistons.
You know, Detroit Pistons. And due to that, you know, a guy like Draymond Green came out and actually spoke out about it, you know, pretty much in a sense saying that, you know, people gave James Harden a lot of shit because he decided he wanted to be traded and wanted to leave Houston, and we gave him a lot of stuff, you know, while he dogged it and stuff. He didn't condone that. But, like, a guy like Andre Drummond, who's perfectly healthy, is going to be sat down so a team could trade them, and nobody says anything about that, which I thought was pretty powerful. You guys hear that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when the player does it, it's a problem. When the team
It's selfish.
When the team does it, it's not a problem. So, but I think, you know, it's just what happens in the NBA. It's the same thing they did with Anthony Davis when he was with the Pelicans. You know, why risk injuring the player or put him in a situation where his value might go down if he gets an injury, or, you know what I mean? So sit him down while his value is still high. Your team is not going anywhere right now. There's no value to him on your team. And
sometimes that's bad, though, if you sit them down and their value still goes down because they're not showcasing their talents and what they can do.
Those guys don't need to showcase their talent anymore. You know what they are.
Right, some guys. I'm just saying, like, in some, like Nicholas Batum, you know what I mean? Like, the Hornets were sitting him down, it seemed like, for like a friggin' year. You know, people thought, like, he couldn't play no more. Boom, send him to the Clippers. He's busting threes all over the place.
Yeah, the guys you sit down is the guys that you know, like Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin, those guys, you know who they are, you know what they do. Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree, you know, with Draymond Green on this. I thought that was a really great and valid point that, you know, he brought up, you know, about there being a double standard in this league, and that it's, you know, hypocritical and contradicting for, you know, these teams to, you know, sit out guys that, you know, that are perfectly fine and that can play and, you know, not want to play, but, you know, the team doesn't want to play, want them to play because they want to, you know, make a deal for them, you know, and holding, and that how they don't get held accountable, but, you know, yet the players, you know, get freaking bashed and ripped and destroyed, and you know, it messes up, you know, their reputation, and people come at them, you know, which is, you know, unfortunate that that's, you know, the case, and, you know, that ends up happening in those instances. So no, I'm definitely with, you know, Draymond Green that we, you know, need to start holding these teams, you know, more accountable, and start, you know, and like you guys say, keep that same energy, right? That's
For sure.
Exactly what we
For
need
sure.
to do. And I know that's where Draymond Green was, again, that we need to keep that same energy, when these teams do something like this, sitting out a player that's, perfectly, healthy and that, is being professional and that, is doing all the right things. But, when and as opposed to just doing it when the players, do it individually and, criticizing them. So, definitely we have to do, and league has to do a better job of, keeping that same energy, and holding the teams to the same standard that they do the players.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that, I don't know, like Vlad was saying, I wasn't even thinking about it like that. Like, players are sat down so they don't get injured, thus like their trade value doesn't go down if they do get injured. You know what I mean? And the team comes in there and get them for whatever they want, as opposed to sitting them and keeping their values where it's at, and trading them so they can have a chance at playing. At the same time, I don't really like it. I don't, because these guys play basketball for a living, and you're gonna sit me down every single game like I'm trying to hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But it's the way of the business, and there's nothing we can really do about it. They're gonna continue doing that next year. They're gonna do that as well. I was definitely surprised by the Demarcus Cousins being released situation, because I felt like he was getting a little groove. He scored some high numbers this year so far. Not necessarily high, but like some good numbers for Demarcus Cousins.
Reasonable numbers, right.
Right. And I haven't heard too much about him other than him getting those little iffy texts from the refs that really don't like him and stuff like that. So
right, which is he's gonna get because he's already made that reputation for himself.
Right. So right now it's Andre Drummond, Blake Griffin, and Demarcus Cousins that's pretty much going to be on the market. Should the Celtics, the home team, be interested in those guys?
Definitely Demarcus Cousins. I think we should definitely. I think for a while now we've been wanting to go after Demarcus Cousins, and
have we?
No, have we really, Vlad?
Have we?
There has been. Yeah,
Ainge and Stevens have been going after him.
What I'm saying, there has been rumors about the Celtics wanting to go after him.
Because I feel like before he went to the Warriors, we didn't even like check up on him.
Right, exactly.
Well, I was gonna say that there has been rumors that Brad Stevens don't want to work with him or don't like his personality, and I think he needs to get over that. I think Brad
needs to get a personality first.
For real, seriously.
I think he's a basketball player and he can play, and as a coach, it's your job to assimilate him to the team. And I think a guy like that, he's a big man. He can score at any point anywhere on the court. I think he's very versatile. I think he will fit perfect into the Celtics system. I think that we should 100% bring that guy in.
Wow, Vlad's a fan.
Yeah,
I know. I didn't know he was that big of a Demarcus Cousins guy.
And we're not even trading for him. He's being released.
He's released.
He's a
we don't got to pay nothing.
You don't have to give up anything for that guy. So you should. We should go get that guy right now.
No, I'm certainly would be okay with with the Celtics taking a look at the Demarcus Cousins and bringing him in and giving him a chance, to come in and, play and contribute and make an impact. Because you're right, we're already seeing what this Celtics supporting cast can do, and it's not much, and and they're not playing very well consistently, and so they could definitely use a veteran that can come in and contribute and be a role player. Like, he doesn't even have to be a top scoring option. Here we already have guys that that have been doing that pretty well this year. So you're right, he could be like a third or fourth option, and and play really well in that role, not being the focal point of the offense. So definitely I'm good with him coming here. I'd even be okay with them getting Andre Drummond and at least going after him. I'd like to see that as well, even though my sources have told me that apparently they've tried to go after Andre Drummond, and when those rumors came out that, Cleveland wanted to trade him, that, the Celtics were supposedly one of the teams that were, the most interested and all over it. But, they still haven't, weren't able to get a, deal done and still haven't to this point. But, I mean, I definitely, if they are able to do that, I'd be okay with him coming to Andre Drummond. But definitely a no on Blake Griffin. I don't want to see him here because I just don't think he does, would do much for this team and would be, that much of an upgrade and stuff. Like, yeah, he'd be slightly better, but he just wouldn't make as much of an impact as the other two guys would and bring to the table as much as those other guys bring.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny you say that. Actually, out of the three, Blake Griffin's the only one that I feel like could help the team, just based on defensive presence and efficiency and stuff like that. Like,
really,
Andre Drummond,
defense isn't that good.
But he wouldn't be like our big man. You know what I mean? Like in the middle and stuff like that. Blake Griffin would play something else where he can space the floor. Blake Griffin hasn't dunked all year. You know what I mean? So he's not playing in the paint.
In 2 years, John.
That's crazy.
Since March of 2019.
That's crazy.
He hasn't.
Why is that a big deal though?
Because that was his game before.
Who cares?
That's what he did.
I think we're just surprised.
He's been
I know what he's
an
done.
Athletic specimen, and pretty much.
I'm just surprised.
The kind of player that he's been, until the last couple of years. So that's why everyone's making a big deal and big fuss about it. Is because before, the injuries and before he left the Clippers, that's pretty much what he was. He was a freak athlete, a guy that could jump out of the gym and dunk on anybody and get to the basket. That was pretty much was his game. He wasn't a jump shooter like he's trying to be now, but he's not even an effective jump shooter and trying to be a 3-point shooter when he's not even hitting them at a good percentage,
efficient,
I think, or efficient percentage. So I think, that's what I'm saying. I don't really think Blake would be a good idea to bring Blake Griffin here and have him play, because I don't think he'd really make.
I wanted to hear
an impact
Vlad's
that you guys
point.
think he'd make and really do that much.
I wanted to hear Vlad's point. What were you saying, Vlad?
I just think, who cares? I mean, I think he's been developing his game so much more than just a dunker. I'm actually been very impressed by the development of his game. I thought he was a one-trick pony earlier in his career. And it was effective, but eventually you just have to develop a game. And he's been moving better than I've seen him move earlier in his career. Like, as far as like making play on the floor. Before I thought he was just running to people, but now he's actually using the space on the floor. He's shooting threes. He's not making them on an efficient basis, but I think he's a better basketball player now than he was back then. So to me, when I heard that he hasn't dunked over in 2 years since December 2019, so it's been like a year and a half. Since then, I'm like, okay, that's weird because that's Blake Griffin. But at the same time, when I watch him play with the Pistons, especially when he played against the Celtics the last 2 games, I'm like, oh, wow, Blake Griffin is actually a basketball player. He's actually making basketball moves, not just running through people. So I've actually been more impressed with his game now than I was before.
I'm more so just like shocked, you know what I mean, that he hasn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't care who's dunking or who's not dunking. It's just more of the player, Blake Griffin is, and the fact that he hasn't dunked in 2 years. I'm like, is he like scared to dunk? Like, is something happening? Or, I guess he's worked on his game so much, he just relies on other things now. Before he was, like Vlad was saying, he was relying on pure athleticism, getting to the rack and dunking on people. Now he doesn't have to do that anymore.
There was a time that Ray Allen used to dunk. And then he never dunked anymore. You know what I mean? So it's like players
rarely.
Players evolve, players get better. like I said, I think I like this Blake Griffin better than what he was before.
I mean, on the Detroit right now, Blake Griffin is one of their top players. He comes here, he's not that here.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to play, number 4. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that would at least have him more open. He could hit some threes. He could hit a jumper here and there. As far as like defensive efficiency, both Demarcus Cousins and Drummond, they're terrible. They're even worse than what we got. You know what I'm saying? And
really?
Yes,
Wow,
they're even worse than what we got.
That.
Wow. What's his name? Drummond is like the worst defensive big man in the league right now.
Whoa, what?
Yes, he cannot play defense. He's good on offense. He'll get you the rebounds, but rebounds does not translate into defense. You know what I mean? Like, rebounding doesn't mean you're playing good defense. It means you have good positions and you're going up.
Exactly.
And he's always going to average a lot of rebounds and stuff like that. But like, when it comes to the defensive part of the game, he has a lot of breakdowns and they key on him. You know what I'm saying? So our bigs right now actually outplay him defensively. It's just like their offensive part that we don't have. And if we bring him in, what do we do with somebody like the Time Lord, who it seems like every time you give him some minutes, he performs and he brings a lot of energy and, he could do some things. I feel like they should give him a little more time as a starter. But,
wow, crazy. I didn't realize he was that much of a liability on the
Demarcus Cousins is so slow now, bro. Like, it's not even like, he's had so many he's had so many lower body injuries, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has to compensate for a lot. He's stiff, and not only he's stiff, he's getting you techs out there. You know what I mean? He's getting ejected and shit because he's built such a bad reputation over the years. But either way, in my opinion, Blake Griffin would be the best piece for us to acquire to actually make an impact on this team positively. Other than that, we're going to have to work around, what's his name? Drummond's flaws on defense, as well as, Cousins, the way he moves. Because right now we're a run and gun team with the kind of players we have. Can Demarcus Cousins come here and keep up with the young guys we have? I don't know. The guy's like 350 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So,
man, I'm not out of shape. Damn.
I mean, he's never been like the best in shape basketball player in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's not a small dude. The guy's like 6'11", so he's a big dude.
Yeah, we at least we need size, so he'd be bringing size. But you're right, he doesn't bring much of a presence.
We need speed. We need that speed in the paint.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Got to be able to move too.
Right, more Celtics news.
Roll defense is terrible, as you said. Yeah, you can't defend the pick and roll.
More Celtics news. As you guys know, Jason Tatum had COVID-19. He tested positive, and apparently it's been reported that he's still dealing with side effects of COVID, and that's because he's not breathing as well as he should be breathing, according to the report. So, he's still dealing with some lingering effects of COVID-19, and that's nothing, that's not a small thing. But even though he's dealing with those things, he's still been scoring at least 20 points, every single game since he's been back. So it's more power to him. He's lucky he's younger, but we know that he's dealing with some stuff there. The Celtics have been struggling a little bit in the past few weeks. We've had some injuries. We've had some guys out, and we had some losses. And Danny Ainge, he actually came out and had to defend the coach, with stuff we don't really see around here too much, because we've had a lot of success the last few years with, the regular season, us positioning ourselves as the number 2, number 3, one-time number 1 seed or whatever. So Danny Ainge came out with a little statement. He says, My coach is more prepared and humble than anybody. He respects Washington Wizards and Detroit Pistons more than anybody in the entire locker room. As he turned his attention to the players, it has to do with the players. I think it's just a maturity issue with the team. And I thought that was interesting And with that said, there was some other reports that a player from another locker room actually said that they don't believe that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could lead the team or make their teammates better. You guys, I know you guys have heard this one, and then we spoke about the other quote yesterday. What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I think the Celtics have been playing so inconsistently that we, the seats are getting hot under both Brad Stevens' butt and Danny Ainge's butt. And I think, especially if you listen to our last podcast, we came out and we definitely made some strong statements about those guys' jobs. And I think the same way we felt, a lot of people in the media felt the same way as well. So I felt as though Danny Ainge felt as though he needed to come out. He had one interview on Monday. He had another interview on Wednesday or Thursday, I think, where he was defending Brad Stevens and just making sure, reassuring people that Brad Stevens is doing a great job. It's really the players that are not being consistent, and he's really putting the blame on himself and the players. He's putting a lot of blame on him for the roster that he put together, and that Brad Stevens is really working his hardest, which I do think Brad Stevens is working his hardest, and I do think he's a really hard worker, a really smart guy. But when you have a team that's not motivated every night, I think some of that falls on the coach. I do know the schedule's been a little tough on the players. Some of the players were really tired. But losing to the Hawks,
Unacceptable.
I just think that's unacceptable. Losing to the
It is, absolutely.
Losing to the Wizards, I just think all those games were unacceptable, because it shows you they lost one game to the Hawks, and then the next game, which was 2 days after that, they won that game handily. So if you could have won that first game, why didn't you play well enough to win that first game? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think a little bit of it falls on the coach for sure. I'm not gonna put Brad Stevens out of the water quite yet, as much as Danny Ainge would like to. I think both guys are underwater for me. Both Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, both of those guys need to work to save their jobs. In my opinion, I'm not saying that's what they're doing right now, but in my opinion, both of those guys need to do work to get their team to perform consistently. The Celtics doesn't have a bad team. They have a really good team with talented players. They're just not being consistent enough, both on the defensive side and the offensive side of the ball. When you look at a game like the last game they played against the Hawks, that was a really good game by a really good team. They played well, played together. Everybody contributed. There weren't a lot of selfish plays, but then there are games where there's a lot of individual plays by Jaylen Brown, by Jason Tatum. They're not playing together as a team. They're not playing great defense. They're not getting back on defense. When that happens, every other game, you win a game against the Nuggets, which is a really good team in the league, and then the next game against one of the worst teams in the league, the Hawks, you lose. It's almost like, bro, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. Yeah, it's. I think that's the issue for me for the Celtics. And as much as Danny would like to save Brad Stevens and not give him any blame, I do think he has some blame to take for the team in the way that they're playing.
No, for sure. Definitely hear what you're saying. Those are definitely all good points. It was disappointing them losing to the Hawks on Wednesday, the first game that they played against them. I think a big part of that was, not having Kemba Walker, who obviously hasn't been able to play on back-to-backs. And that was the second night of a back-to-back since they played the Nuggets before. So I think, having his presence out there was definitely a factor. And then not having Daniel Tex as well was, and then who didn't play that game either. And they both played the second game against the Hawks on Friday, and we saw how much of a difference, having those two in the rotation, makes, because we don't really have anyone else that can, make up for, for their losses when they're not, playing on the court. But Yeah, no, it's definitely been disappointing what we've seen from the Celtics team to this point. It's like what I'm seeing is that they're playing down to their competition.
Every
That's
time.
really that's exactly what I'm seeing. That's about the only thing they're doing consistently this season is playing down to their competition. When they play against really good teams like the Toronto Raptors and the Nuggets, they're able to play really well and win those games. But Vlad say when they play against the Hawks, the Wizards and even the Pistons, like those are three of the worst teams in the NBA. They're not able to beat those teams, which is
It's playing
extremely,
down to the competition.
frustrating and discouraging to see that. You're right, John, absolutely. And it's certainly, aggravating to continue to see them do that at this point of the season, that they haven't been able to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and instead they're doing the exact opposite of what they should be doing. So that's something that needs to turn around ASAP, without question. Think Danny just certainly right about holding himself accountable and not putting the blame on Brad Stevens or any of the other players like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, that it's his fault that the team has played as poorly as they have recently, because he didn't do a good enough job in putting a team together that can be able to be an elite team in the Eastern Conference, and that can continue to keep, getting better from what they've done, recently. It seems like they've taken multiple steps back this year. I think, it's certainly costing them, the terrible offseason that he had. It's really, putting a damper on this team and really putting them in a bad, situation where right now they're at best the fourth best team in the conference, and I don't really see them getting any higher than that, even with the Bucks, struggling lately and not playing well. I don't really see them getting, past the Bucks, so they're probably stuck right on that 4 or 5, range, and don't really seem like they can contend and beat, any of those top 3 teams. I don't really feel too confident in that. I think, certainly they've, I think they even miss Gordon Hayward. They haven't been able to replace his production on the court, and no one else that has, been playing, on the bench has, played even close to what, Gordon Hayward was playing when he was on the floor. Like, yeah, he was injury prone and, and missed, a lot of games to those injuries. But when he was on the court, you can tell that he was a very, productive and ineffective player. And they haven't been able to, fill that void. I think, not doing that deal with Indiana has certainly came back to bit them in the ass, because they could have, gotten that deal with Indiana, gotten a couple of, good pieces that can, contribute and make more of an impact than what the impact that these guys are making right now that they currently have on the roster. Because, Semi Ojeleye, Javonte Green, they shouldn't be playing major minutes in a rotation. And those are guys, or even Grant Williams, those are guys that I think,
Semi's done some stuff.
Yeah, he
this
does,
year.
but it hasn't been, consistently. But, besides Tatum and Brown, no one has really been doing it consistently. But I just think that, those guys, their roles shouldn't be, as big, and their minutes shouldn't be as much as, as they have. But, I mean, we can't blame Brad Stevens for that, because he's only playing who he's got on the roster. So he certainly has to do. Danny Ainge, has to do a better job, coming up in this trade deadline. I don't even think he can wait for the trade deadline. He should be doing it as we speak in terms of, upgrading the roster and, and improving the bench and the role players, because, right, they need better role players and more, productive, role players that are actually going to excel in their roles, and that we know what we're going to get out of, night in and night out. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much what it is. Well, with the Celtics right now is, they're Danny Ainge underachieving and not doing what he's, what he's been supposed to do and what he's capable of doing has, really put, Brad Stevens and the rest of his team in a tough spot.
I think he's definitely correct on the maturity issue, because we have a bunch of young guys. We're one of the youngest teams out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, our two stars are barely 25 years old. So it's like, there's definitely that maturity issue, and they didn't come in as like the number one guys either. They came in as number 2, 3 guys. You know what I'm saying? So like that maturity, they haven't reached it yet. I think we talked about that in the last episode when we were talking about Jason Tatum versus Mitchell, right? Like he has not matured into like that leader that we need yet. He's still quiet, he's still timid and stuff like that. He's not as aggressive as, I don't know, we see most superstars are. And he's going to have to work on that situation right there. And our bench, like, we're so young, man. We're relying on, a guy like Peyton Pritchard. You know what I'm saying? A rookie to come in and do anything in this league. You're not really in a good position. You know what I'm saying? Unless you have, like, a LeBron James that's going to come off the bench for you as a rookie. Like, you're not really doing much, to move the needle there. So we definitely need more veteran presence. I think the most vet guy is what, like Kemba and Tristan Thompson? Jeff Teague. And even Jeff Teague, he hasn't been very impressive all season either.
Exactly. He hasn't done shit.
He's been very inconsistent. So
he's just been consistently bad, John. Not only the guy's been consistently horrendous.
Another bad move.
We've got nothing from him. Not
bad move by Ainge.
Oh, absolutely. Another one, right. No, definitely another terrible move. They shouldn't have brought him in. They should have looked to bring in a younger, point guard, that could back up Kemba Walker and that could, make much more of an impact, and play better than what Teague has played. Because you're right, we haven't gotten anything from him since day one.
And, I mean, I think it also shows how much we've missed Marcus Smart the last, couple weeks.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even with him, like, we weren't the best defensive team in the league, but we didn't look the way we've looked in some of these games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he kept us together in a lot of games, defensively, kept guys, locked in, and we don't have anybody with that dog mentality that's in the game helping us out right now. So hopefully he makes a return really quick. Right.
I've actually heard some news in regards to that. So they're hoping that Marcus Smart, that the Celtics can, bring him back for the start of the second half of the season.
That would be nice.
Break. No, for sure. I think they should really need him back in the worst way.
They should keep him out until the All-Star break just to make sure he's fully healed, because we see how important he is. And I think when he does come back and get some of the other pieces, we'll be, in a much better position. But this team, I think, is definitely sorely missing some veteran presence. Some guys that's been doing it. We definitely need to use that trade exception for a guy like Vucevic or something. You know what I'm saying? I really like Vucevic from Orlando Magic. You know what I mean?
True, and he's been going off lately. Have you been seeing his games?
He's on my fantasy team, so I know what he's doing.
So you know what?
You know what I mean? Like
he's right. You know how he's been balling, right?
You know what I mean? Like, that's a guy that can put up 30 on a nightly basis if he really wanted, and if he was in the right offense to do that. And even then, he's doing it with the Orlando Magic. So. We definitely need to use something. The team needs a spark. You know what I'm saying? We need a spark this year for sure. And I think you were correct, Barry. We talked a lot about Gordon Hayward not doing what he's supposed to do because, the money that he's owed. But we definitely missed some of his production here, especially with guys getting injured and nobody to step up to take those shots or make those shots. So we're relying on Sammy Ojale and Grant Williams, and that's bad news.
Right, and those guys aren't wing scorers. Exactly.
That's bad news.
Right, it is bad news.
They have their spurts, but they're not, they're not the image of consistency. I'll say that much.
Right. You can't expect, for them to do that, what I'm saying, every night. Once in a while, okay, but not a consistent basis. A name that I've been hearing, guys, I think that's pretty interesting that the Celtics could, make as a trade target and go after is Harrison Barnes from the Kings. How do you guys
I've been hearing that a lot too.
About that? Would you guys like to see him, the Celtics bring him in and make a deal for him?
Absolutely. He does everything. He's not great at everything, but he does everything. You know what I mean? He can score, he can defend, he can rebound, he can set people up. Like he's a solid NBA player that you can use with that exception that can come in and actually help the team. When we played him last time with Sacramento, he was killing us. So we've seen him on the Warriors, we've seen what he can do, we've seen him on the Mavericks. Like he's not a bad player at all.
So you're saying that you're gonna trade for him?
With the player exception.
They would use the trade exception for him. He's one of the players that they can use that exception for him.
Yeah. Okay. I think he helps the team right away.
About that, Vlad? Would you agree with that, John?
I just don't want to give anybody up for him, but if you use the trade exception, sure.
We wouldn't have to give anybody up.
Yeah.
Right.
But we need to make a roster spot. I'll say that. Send somebody to the G League, man.
Exactly. Right. They got quite a few guys that should be in the G League right now. So send them over there and have
send Neesmith, because send him over there.
Exactly.
That's what I've been playing saying.
Right. I've seen him.
He's been playing like 25, 28 minutes a game. So I don't know if they're sending him. I think they might send some of those other guys.
What? Tremont Waters?
One of those guys, yeah.
They need to send him Taco.
Who? Right. Or Edwards, right.
Send
somebody down
Listen, these guys are not doing nothing. Send them.
Right.
Since the last episode, the Celtics played about 3 games. They played the Nuggets, which Vlad mentioned earlier. They won 112-108. They played the Hawks twice. The first game they lost 122-114, and the next game they won 121-109, and they were up by at least like 30 in the second game. So they came back and did what they had to do and took the games. The next game is going to be, it's actually happening right now as we record the podcast on this Sunday, the Celtics versus Pelicans. So we'll update you guys on what happens with that. And I know you guys actually already gave some of your thoughts on the games, as to what happened. Because I know, Barry, you talked about the Atlanta Hawks and how we should beat them. Vlad, you talked about what happened versus the Nuggets. So it's not much more we need to really, dive into. But
the Celtics are winning right now, 30-28. I'm watching the game right now as we speak, and
that's what Vlad's doing.
Yeah. Jaylen Brown has 11 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and it's looking okay. I mean, the Pelicans are not a bad team, so
they're not. So we'll see what happens, man.
They're a pretty good team, right? No, that's a big game for the Celtics for sure to play them on the road in New Orleans where they usually play well. So I think we need to see them play well on this road trip that's coming up. They got a pretty big road trip because they play the Pelicans today. Then on Tuesday they play the Mavericks.
The Mavs, yeah.
And that's another big and tough game for them in Dallas going against Luka. And then they play on Wednesday, but second of back-to-back. And you know how this team has had, tough times on, second, games of back-to-back. They play Atlanta at Atlanta, who just gave them a tough time, here. So it's certainly a big, few games coming up for this team. So, we're going to see where they're at and, how good they can be going against, some teams that are, that are pretty good. So I'm looking forward to seeing whether this team can, play well on the road and, and be consistent and continue to improve and get better and, and make progress. But, that last thing I want to say, John, I know you were saying that a player, an NBA player said that Tatum and Brown aren't doing enough to make the rest of the teams better and that they, need to do, they need to be better playmakers and stuff. I actually could kind of see what they're saying and agree with that. I think, they're, both really good scorers and have been scoring at a high level. But you're right, they could definitely pick up their playmaking, abilities and do a better job of that. But I think another part of it is that they don't trust the guys that that are playing around.
Well, I mean, would you?
And, of course not.
It's like, who do they have to do anything with? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like
that they can actually trust and rely on.
You can't make anybody better if they're not hitting shots. You know what I mean? Like, they're inconsistent. So, like, how can we can't force them. You know what I mean? Like you guys were saying, some of these sequences where Jaylen Brown is going and busting a three and not even looking at other guys, you know what I mean? Not even picking up his head to look for anybody else. It's like, well, if I'm on the court, Kemba's not on the court, Tatum's not on the court, who really do I have to pass it to? I mean, Smart's not on the court. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? I think they're in a hard place because we've seen what they can do when there's capable players around them.
Right. No, for sure. Absolutely. So, yeah, no, it is a tough, it's just a tough thing to judge, just because, like you said, they don't have the right, supporting cast around them and guys that, they can, be able to, rely on and be able to, pass the ball to that can actually make plays and, and then score, effectively. We haven't seen that. So, so it's just tough that, people are saying that with the kind of team that we have right now. I don't think it's fair to, to judge Tatum and Brown on their playmaking abilities with the current roster.
Right, that's a fact, man. So let's wrap up with the NBA and go into the MLB where there's a couple news going on. Fernando Tatis Jr. Signed a 14. Good Lord.
Yes,
signed 14. A 14-year, $340 million deal with the San Diego Padres. That guy is set up for life. His grandkids are set up for life. Their grandkids are set up for life if he uses that, contract the way he's supposed to do. 14 years is a really long time. And, as a player, you want that kind of year because your future's secured forever. And, these contracts are guaranteed, and you're going to have to pay me regardless what happened. You can release me tomorrow. You still owe me $340 million. You know what I mean?
Right. You're still going to get
can I get
money and stuff.
Can I get a 14-year, $1 million a year contract to my job? That's all I need.
14 years, $1 million?
14-year, $40 million, $1 million a year.
$1 million a year? Ooh.
Oh, that's all you need, and you'd be good with that?
I mean,
wow.
Listen, that would be nice.
This guy got 340. All I need is 14.
14.
Right. An interesting thing that I actually found out is that apparently he owes, Fernando Tatis Jr., he owes an investment fund millions of dollars. So some of that money is actually going to, go to that, fund that he owes and to pay back the debt that he owes.
I bet you it wasn't $340 million though. So take what you need and leave me the fuck alone.
It wasn't. Right.
Take your shit and go. Goodbye.
Exactly. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
take your money and keep it moving. Right.
Thanks for nothing. Bye.
Right. See ya. Have a nice life. Yeah.
More MLB news. The Red Sox signed a 2-year contract with right-handed Japanese pitcher Hirokazu Swamura. Hirokazu Swamura. You know how to say his name?
You could actually pronounce his name. I'm impressed by that. I couldn't
Hirokazu
pronounce
Swamura.
his name when I saw it.
Hirokazu
Swamura.
Yeah.
He tried it.
Hirokazu Swamura.
Yeah, Hirokazu Swamura.
Swamura.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
No, for real.
Listen, I don't know too much about.
Japanese people have like the weirdest and hardest names to pronounce.
Well,
It's not weird. It's their name. Like
to us, it's weird, but to them, that's John over there.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a common name for them. Right. But to us, it seems like mad awkward and random.
Right.
Yeah.
Over there, it's like you ain't nobody special. You know what I mean? Everybody's name is Chenzen or something. You know,
right. You're just another guy. Right.
You know, over here though, it's like what?
It's like who? Like
okay.
Like what's that guy's name? Yeah.
And lastly, pitchers and catchers report to spring training, so it's getting real out there. Pitchers and catchers are there working, making sure they get their mechanics in order on whatever they got to do. That's your MLB update. Some NHL updates. We don't have too much, but the Bruins played the Devils. Who's that? New Jersey?
New Jersey Devils. New Jersey. Yeah.
See, I know hockey, man. They think I don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. They played the Devils and they lost 3-2. The Bruins will play the Flyers outdoor in Lake Tahoe. So, any quick word you wanted to say about the game that happened between the Devils, Barry?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think this unfortunately was a really terrible game for the Bruins. They didn't play well at all. It looked like they got outplayed pretty much in every aspect of the game, and New Jersey Devils took it right to them, right from the face-off, and and pretty much
never looked back.
Control the game. Yeah, exactly. Never looked back, and they got out to an early lead, and made the Bruins play catch up, and Bruins have been good at coming back, but this was one of those games where they just couldn't come back, and they even said it themselves that they can't continue to keep doing these slow starts and and putting themselves in positions where they have to come back, because it's nice when they do it, but you can't expect for them to do it every time and come back when in those situations more times than not. So yeah, again that caught up with them, getting off to a slow start and coming out pretty flat, as they did. So hopefully with this game coming up against the Flyers and Lake Tahoe on Sunday night, they're able to play much better right off the the face off, and and come out ready to play, because they didn't do that on Thursday against New Jersey, and that pretty much cost them the game.
I hear that, man. So I mean, good luck to the Bruins. I know they've been doing really good things, and hopefully they get back on the winning records and winning tracks. So lastly,
right, and I'm actually excited about this game. I'm actually going to be watching the game. I think it's going to be pretty cool and pretty awesome to
I like when they do
outdoors.
When they do the outdoor stuff. I feel like it's like goes back to like natural, what hockey naturally was. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like the
backyard
roots of
type
hockey.
of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure.
No, I like that. Actually, I went ice skating too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Ice skating. Ooh, nice. That's
no,
awesome.
I went ice skating too on my little ski trip. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
and,
is that
I
right?
felt like a hockey player a little bit. My boy Andy, he actually tried to do one of those, when the hockey players are going so fast and they like stop and the ice shaving goes all over before they hit the board. He tried to do that and he slammed into the board instead. So shout outs to
Ooh.
Andy. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He's like, yo, I tried to slide in there. I'm like, you idiot, dude.
He thought he could slide in. He thought
Like,
he was that nice.
man, you're doing too much, man. You're doing too much. You know what I mean?
He
So
thought he had the skills.
yeah, that's my dog. Shout outs to Andy, man.
Uh,
But yeah, man. What else?
No, just wanted to point out an interesting thing that the Bruins have been experimenting lately is that they've been putting Pastrnak on the second line with David Krejci, you know, instead of the first line that he typically plays in with, you know, Marchand and Bergeron. So,
more firepower for the second line.
Right.
I get it.
And that's what they've been lacking the last several years. They haven't been able to find you know, consistent, you know, wing player and, you know, second guy on that second line that can play well with David Krejci. And that's actually been, you know, working out pretty well. Those two guys playing together on the second line. It's been, like you said, John, giving them more firepower and more of a spark that they needed. So when the top line's not on the ice, you know, they're, you know, still able to, you know what I'm saying, have some production out there and guys that can, you know, can effectively play well. So, but I think we'll see how long they're gonna be doing this for. Because I think, you know, as we, you know, get, you know, closer to the end of the season and into the playoffs, I think, you know, Pastrnak is gonna go back to, you know, the first line and play with, you know, Marchand and Bergeron, and they're gonna have to find somebody to be able to play with, you know, with Krejci, who's been playing well, even though he's not going to play in this game in Lake Tahoe against the Flyers. You know, he's been doing pretty well, but they have to get some better and more consistent play from their second line when Pastrnak does move back up to the first line.
Yeah,
you know,
hey, man. Yeah, we know good teams do what they got to do to make sure that, you know, everything's working as properly as it should. So I don't disagree with the line change right there, but you know, we know Pasternak's one of the best scorers in this league. So at some point, he's going to come back. You know what I'm saying? But with that said, we're going to move on from the NHL and move into the B-Money Lifestyle Person of the Week. I believe you got two more people on here this week as well. So what's going on with that?
Yes. So for the B-Money Lifestyle Person of the Week, we have a couple of individuals that have, you know, been actually doing a lot for a community that really needs it right now. And those individuals are Dak Prescott and Pierre Desir.
Pierre Desir.
So,
Pierre Desir. He's Haitian.
Excuse me. He is Haitian, actually.
Yeah.
Right. So,
actually, I'm gonna throw one more person in there. Robert Griffin III.
Oh, he's also Haitian?
No. Exactly what you're about to explain. I'm gonna throw his name in there.
He's been doing work and helping out as well.
Exactly.
Nice. That's awesome. I didn't hear about that, but thanks for, you know, letting us know about that, John. Appreciate it. So, you know, what those guys have been doing is out in Texas. If you guys, you know, haven't heard, you know, they had a big snowstorm there this weekend. They had, you know, some power outages due to that, you know, snowstorm that, you know, that they had recently. So there's been a lot of, you know, people that have, you know, really been struggling to get, you know, electricity and, you know what I'm saying, and food and, you know, have their, you know, basic resources that we need to, you know, live our everyday lives. So what, you know, Pierre Desir did, or Desir. I got to get that name right. Desir. What he did was he ended up donating 10,000 meals over there to the, you know, community in Houston, the Houston Food Bank, to help people affected by the winter storm that left millions without power in Texas. So, and what's interesting about that is that he has no ties to Houston. He's not from there or anything, or doesn't have any family from out there. So that was pretty cool and pretty awesome that he was able to, to do that without, having any ties, to Houston. And the reason why he did it, in his words, is because he said that he felt like it was the right thing to do. Right. You heard him say that too, John. So
that's all he said. It was the right thing to do.
Right. But shoot, he kept it short and sweet, and he certainly wasn't wrong about saying that and about doing that. So that's a really great thing, that he was able to do to give back to, people that he doesn't know, and then that people that clearly need the help, in a tough time that's going out there in Houston. So he did that, and then Dak Prescott did, something similar. He was, donated, a lot of meals to a shelter in Texas as well. So to homeless people that that needed it too. So he did that and provided them with meals, for the same reason, obviously, due to people not having any power and and the resources that they need. So, and being stuck in a shelter. So that's really great and really awesome that those guys did that. And definitely wanted to commend them for it. Of being high integrity and high character guys. And being, really good people. We know, Dak Prescott was a good person. He's, already done several things, and, that Dallas, Texas community to help them out. And, he's been going through some stuff as well, recently. So it's good that he was able to still give back to that community, despite of what he's been going through in his, personal life, and, going through, depression that he just, had and was able to get over it and still continue to be active. So, to definitely shout out to him and shout out to Pierre Desir as well. And what did Robert Griffin do? I didn't hear that. So did he donate meals?
He donated meals
as well.
Yes, same thing. So, I always say, man, like, it's really cool for the players to do stuff like that. But, like, what are the organizations doing? That's what I want to hear about. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they got all the money. These players, they're playing for their livelihoods. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you guys employ a lot of those people. What do you guys do in the community? I'm not saying that they're not doing it, but I'd like to see more reports on, hey, when the coronavirus mask was being driven by Robert Kraft, that was like major news. You know what I mean? So, like, why do I not see the major news on these organizations helping out these cities? And another thing too, like somebody like Senator Cruz is going to Cancun while this shit's going on, and players that are not even from your city are sending meals over to your people, which, I feel like is really backwards. So shout out to those guys for sure, man.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And definitely big shout out to RG3 for doing the same thing too. I didn't even think, and he's actually from Texas too, isn't he? Because I know he played
he's from the area.
College ball and Baylor. So he is a Texas guy. So that's great that he was able to, help out his, people and, his community, out there and during that storm, that happened. So yeah, shout out to, Dak Prescott and Pierre Desir and Robert Griffin for being, the B Money Lifestyle People of the Week. And that's definitely that B Money Lifestyle.
Thank you, Barry. We appreciate that. And with that said, that is episode number 49. If you're still listening, paying attention, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you are still listening, actually episode 50, we got a big guest coming up for you guys. Yes. You know what I mean? I wanted to leave that as last because if you're listening, then you'll be a little excited about it. So,
stay
again,
tuned.
Thank you so much.
Big time guest.
Big deal. So, until episode 50, man, have a good week. Peace out.
Peace out. Have a good week, everybody. See you next week for episode 50. 5-0.